Well, folks, here we are again for the weekly forecast. And during this last week, we had a few precipitation events move through the state, primarily focused in the western portion of the state, southwest, south central. Even in south central, we didn't have widespread convection, but we did have some isolated pockets of precipitation, much lesser totals across southeast Nebraska. And of course, with the heat returning during the middle part of the week, toward the end of the week, of course, the concern is additional drought stress. Now, I did go down on Wednesday and did a survey from essentially Beatrice all the way over to Red Cloud, an area that's been of concern to us in terms of some of the crop reports we've been getting. Did look very stressful. We tried to relay that information to the drought monitor folks, but their consensus is the indicators do not indicate dry conditions or drought conditions in this area. Hopefully some of the information we provided them will give them a basis to have a more accurate depiction of the drought in south central Nebraska as we see next week's edition. More importantly, there has been some changes also to the 30-day forecast, so we want to go to that first before we go to the upper air models and what we expect this week. There's been an extension of the above normal or the EC category down toward the southeast. It was just basically across the northern plains. But based on what I'm seeing here in the first 15 days of August, I think that this probably is well overdone. In terms of precipitation, no big precipitation anomalies both on the wet or dry side over the central United States. So those areas in dryness that we're seeing in south central Nebraska doesn't look like there's a big significant relief for you, at least in the near term. For today, we are looking at a troughing pattern in the southwest that is flattening out the ridge that has been bringing the heat into our region the last couple of days, and that's going to allow some energy to move over top of the region. So this low pressure system will begin to slide slowly toward the east. That's going to bring that frontal boundary through the eastern part of the state and potentially stall out somewhat. So we'll see some scattered light precipitation. It's going to help flatten this region. That's going to create a zone where we are going to see some moisture because this low pressure system to the south of us is going to throw some Gulf moisture up and interact with the cool air mass to our north. And then we see a foundation of precipitation projected for Sunday, basically centered over Iowa and Minnesota with some of that in northeast Nebraska. And then the trough starts to deepen a little bit. That's going to allow a little bit deeper penetration of the moisture toward the southeast with that low pressure down in Texas, and may actually bring some significant thunderstorm activity at least through central and northeast Nebraska and points off to the east. Then that trough deepens a little bit further. The ridge to the west tries to make its move eastward. With high pressure and control, we're going to see the heat build in the west, and we will see temperatures return to normal in the northeastern part of the state as early as Tuesday as the main precipitation band with that frontal bounding the upper atmosphere pushes toward the southeast. On Wednesday, we see a little bit deeper penetration, but we also see that high trying to bulge from the west in the upper atmosphere. So we have highs firmly in control, low pressure down along in north central Texas will basically cut off any moisture feeding up toward the north, and most of our frontal precipitation will be right in the mid-Mississippi and lower Mississippi River Valley. And then we see this trough weakening as that high pressure moves in and the heat returns in earnest as we get into later next week. Widespread 90s look to be in the cards. We do show a surface low pressure system over Iowa, but again, this moisture feed is being cut off by the surface features moving along the eastern portions of the Gulf of Mexico. And then as we get into Friday, that high pressure system pulls in, high pressure aloft at the surface, very warm temperatures. We're looking 90s consistently across the state, and I wouldn't be surprised we see some upper 90s across the western part of the state as precipitation remains to our east. In terms of 8 to 14 day forecast, next Thursday to the following Tuesday, well above normal temperatures in store and coupled with below normal precipitation.